everyone, this is Sunava.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Beer and Bread. This is a new two-player only game from Scott Almes, published by Pegasus Spiele, Deep Print Games and Capstone Games.
It is a two-player game and it plays in about 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, I just said kind of half of your information there.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I usually say it's a new
sticking to my
game.
script.
You're sticking to the script, that's
Yes.
great. Because all our videos are completely scripted.
Yes,
That
they
might
are.
be new for something, so everything we say now is scripted from before.
Panda, no, that is wrong.
No, it is in the script.
It
I
is
wrote
in
it
the
in there
script.
for fun. So yeah, everything you will say, I will hear and say. It's detailed scripting, storyboarded out. Every movement, everything is
Every
something we
breath
have
you take.
decided. Yeah,
Yes.
every breath we take, every move we make, you'll be watching us.
Yes.
So yeah, let's talk about this game.
Yes.
Beer and Bread. It's super short little overview. But before that, if you're new to the channel, is there something you can do?
Yes, you can subscribe. It's a button down
You can
there.
scribe.
You can be a scribe and subscribe.
Write in a book.
You can even press the bell button
Ding, ding,
to get
ding.
notification every time we post a new video.
That is correct. So today, Beer and Bread. Let's talk about that because you are going to be playing as two different villages who has this festival that lasts for many years, like
Many
8 years. And
So
who
many years.
will make the best beer and bread? Like, is that something that makes sense? Like, oh, welcome to the Beer and Bread Festival.
It lasts for many years.
It's 8 years. It's going to be like, oh no, you didn't get any beer this year, but you got a bread. But that, we don't drink a lot of beer, but it's like beer and bread. Is that a thing? It sounds like it's a very weird festival. It would make more sense being like a German thing with beer and hot dogs, something like
Well, I figure it's probably a beer and bread festival somewhere. It sounds perfect.
that. And it lasts for 8 long years.
Maybe not that, but yeah.
Very briefly, an overview of the game. This is a game that lasts for 8 years, or 8 rounds in this game. Half of them are going to be, every other one is going to be a fruitful year, and every other one is going to be a dry year. A horrible year for the crop. No crop is coming, but it is, just a little bit less. Those rounds are played a little bit different, but what you're gonna do in the game is that you're gonna play cards. You're gonna have a hand of cards, and on my turn, I'm gonna play one of those cards. They are multi-use cards, so they can be used as a recipe for beer or bread. They can be used as a special ability, or they can be used for gaining resources. When you play a card to gain resources, you're gonna play it on top of the other cards that gain your resources, and you're gonna get all the resources on the card that you just played, and all of the same resources shown on the cards you played earlier this round. Then you're going to draw off the cards, so I'm going to play a card, I'm going to give the rest to you. That happens in the fruitful years, and in the dry years, you're not going to do that. You're going to play the cards from your hand, but you're going to have 3 cards, which is kind of a shared hand, that you can also play a card from and swap it with a card from your hand. And maybe you will be like, oh, I really want to play that card, and you will play that one. It's also going to be a different amount of resources available, depending on it being a fruitful or a dry year. And basically, what you're doing in the game is getting the resources, making beer, making bread, playing upgrades to sweep them away so you can make more bread and more beer. At the end of the game, you're going to score points in a, what I'm calling a Rani Knizia way, where you're going to score points for the lower score of beer or bread. So you can't be like, I'm only going to be a beer man and get 0 points if you don't make any bread. And that is basically what you're doing in the game.
Yes, the game has artwork by Michael Menzel, which means that it's very nice. I like the
nice.
artwork. It's not that much artwork in the game though, but I think that the way that a game board looks is very nice, and I just like the overall look of the game. I think it's cozy and nice.
I really like the fact that there are different beers and breads on the cards. So it's visual, but it has some cards also reference to different ones looking different. But I enjoy that, so there's more artwork to look at. And every time Michael Menzel makes something, it looks kind of classic.
Yeah,
like it
absolutely.
looks like, because his artwork looked the same when he did the Pillars of the Earth, which is kind of like 15 years old or something. So it's kind of like looking like that classic Euro game feel. So the rulebook, it's a small one because it's a small game. I actually thought this was going to be a bigger box.
Thumbs up.
The rulebook is not long. Like it's 11 pages long or 12 pages long, but many of them are references. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7 pages of rules, and it's short rules because the game is very simple, and it has a great reference on the back. It doesn't have a a player rate for both players, but it has kind of like the player rate on the back of the, and that's fine in a two-player game.
Yeah.
It's such a small game, so I just used to have it and went through every phase, or you can place it between you if that's easier for your player group. But I think that is fine for that. It's not like it's not bothering me, because this is also a pretty good aid, which has almost all of the rules on them, so you don't forget the difference between the different kind of years and how everything works together.
It has taken us approximately 45 minutes with our plays of this game, which is what the box says. I think you could probably get it a little down, but around 45 minutes, I think that's where it's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be longer.
Yeah, I agree.
No. So what do you think about the length? It might kind of give away what you feel about the game, but...
I think it's a little too long for my taste. I think that it maybe... I don't think that... It's too long with the, I think it's cool that you're going through these different years, and it has to be some years to actually get the effect of these and to actually make some beer and bread. But it just takes a little too long time wise.
It would have been a very boring game if you made no beer and no bread.
Yes.
The game would just be called and. So let's talk about the gameplay. Basically, the game is all revolved about these cards, which are multi-use cards. They have 3 like phases. I already talked about that in the overview. Words are not easy, and as you know, as you watch Board Gaming Ramblings, other channels would cut that out. We don't.
Because this is scripted.
Because this is all scripted. So people who think like, they do these mistakes. No, we just make it so it looks nice. Because you'll be like, oh, those stupid Norwegians, they don't even know words. And all is scripted, and just to make you love us even more. And it works. Okay, so the multi-use card is what it's all about. And I talked about it in the overview, so if you skip that, go back and hear a bit more about it. But you can play it as one of 3 actions: the resources, the recipe, or the effect of the special ability, which you will slide under one part of the player board. There's 6 different upgrade spaces. And in the fruitful years, you will draft the cards, and in the dry years, you will not. But what I like is that in the dry years, you basically, in the fruitful years, every card you play as a resource card, you will get in your hand at the dry years. You can basically postpone like a recipe. Oh, I really want this recipe, but I can't pay for it now. You can then take the resources and hopefully be able to play it in the dry phase. So before we talk about the actions, what do you feel about like the difference between the drafting and the non-drafting with the shared hand?
I think it's cool that it's a difference between the 2 rounds. It makes the game feel a little bit fresh. That's kind of the most unique thing about this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
I think it's sometimes I feel like, oh, this is a really cool hand. I think I wish I can play them all, and then it's a fruitful year and I have to share them with you. And sometimes if I have bad cards in the dry years, for example, I need some bread, but I only have beers in my hand. I think it's really, really saving grace that you have a shared hand. I think it wouldn't work without it. So I think that it's a nice alternation between those 2 mechanisms.
And I like I just said I liked it, but I like it the balance of playing the resource cards, because you know you're going to get them in your hand. So you can kind of, if there's a horrible card and you don't want to use it for anything, maybe not play it for the resource card, maybe give it away and hope the other player will play it. So that is kind of what you will do in the game. And I am usually, just one thing before we go into that, like you have a storehouse for resources, which takes 9 resources. There's different upgrades that gives you more spaces. But if you have too many resources, what do you have to do?
You have to give them to the other player. That is interesting. You usually don't want to have excess resources anyways.
No, of course.
Sometimes you have these recipes that require quite a lot of resources. And sometimes they require a lot of the same ingredients, which makes it a little hard to stock up on the right amount of resources. To have this negative thing about giving the excess resources to you might be a little.
It's balancing, like you can't just play all of the cards as resource cards and then just take the ones you need, because sometimes you'll get loads of one and you just basically need one of them, and you need more space to have the other resources. So all of that is well and good. as we said, everything in this game is all about the playing of the multi-use card.
Yeah.
Do I want to play it as the resource? Do I want to play it as the beer or the bread? Or do I want to play it as the upgrades? What do you feel about the upgrades?
Well, like together with the multi-use cards, I think that works fine.
Yeah.
I think none of the upgrades are very powerful. They're just like nice bonuses to have throughout the game. There's some little final scoring and some like some production, what do you call it, bonuses, and they have different categories, basically. But what you have to do is that if you have produced one beer and one bread,
or just one,
or just one of the, you can't produce two of the same things, products,
beer and bread,
before you have placed an upgrade. So that kind of forces you or encourages you, or what do you, to
it does force you, because you will have to play upgrades.
To play some upgrades as well.
And as you said, which I feel like is really the core of this for me, is that you say that none of them are very powerful, which then leads to none of them being very exciting.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be many times I was like, oh, I don't want to play it as the resources because I don't want it later. I don't have space for the resources, so I don't want to give them to you. I cannot play it as a recipe, so I guess I'll play it as an upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't really care about that upgrade, or it's fine.
It's
I don't mind it.
At least
I'm just gonna play
I will get rid of this one beer that I've produced. That's fine. So I'm starting fresh.
And also, I don't think the recipes are very interesting. I like there's just gonna be different resources you need.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's gonna be the resources you need. It's also the resources that card produces. That's gonna be harder to get them, so you have to use others. But most of the time, it's gonna be as easy as, how much money do I have in beer? Oh, I have more than in bread. Should make a bread now.
Yeah.
And then make a bread. Because you want to balance it, because you could be like, oh, I'm going to make loads of beer in the beginning. No, you can't, because it's way better to make a beer and a bread and get rid of them at the same time. It feels like it's not always the case. But so I feel for me... that's kind of final thoughts into that. But I don't feel like most of the things are very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think like in the start of, for example, fruitful year, I will look at my hand and be like, oh, okay, what resources are most needed on these? What are these bread or beers? I like that they have different color backsides. So I can see your hand and be like, oh, you have only bread. Oh, I need some beer now. I have to plan for these cards. Okay, I think that is nice. That's helpful. But then I will be like, okay, I will play this as a resource and I will try to make this, and I will send it to you and be like, oh, please don't take that card that I need, because I need to make that. I'm planning for that now. And sometimes you take it, but that is, I think, the most exciting like moment for me is like, oh, please come back. Yeah. And
a two-player drafting game is not usually the best. Here it works because you alternate between drafting and not drafting.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of the gameplay. Like, we've been through everything.
Yes.
And you can hear us being super excited about this game. Let's talk about weight and who is it for. Always going to be easy when I don't like the game. It's quite light. Yeah, it's very light. I think it's like... I think it's lighter games that are more interesting. I think this is... So you think that there are other games in this category that are more interesting? Yes. Yeah. So I think like this... So what is that answering? What is the weight and who is it for? Okay. Which of those two are you answering now? This is for if you are a two-player group... Who don't like interesting things. Well, who like and me like, interesting game. That is a little too long and not simple enough for what you get out of it. It's perfect for you. No, but I like to be serious in the answer. Now, I think that people will like this more. Like there is something like, if you usually enjoy Scott Almes' designs, you might like this. There is something about his designs which usually don't grab me. I can't remember any of his games right now because I'm like that. Yeah, but he's made quite a few games, many different kind of games, but there's not been one that has like wowed me from him. And I can't like put my finger on it, but for me, like, okay, I'm gonna try to answer who is it for. And it's hard to do that when you don't like the game too much. But I feel like if you are two players, like a couple, and you want to play a game which is just don't need a lot of brain power, because you don't need a lot of brain power here. There's interesting things. The thing for me in this game was that every element sounded very interesting, but also together, for me, it was uninteresting. But if you want a new game that's going to be under an hour for 2 players,
I really can't be like...
But we're not recommending it. That's not the thing. We're like, who is it for?
Yeah,
obviously 2 people. Yeah. And if you like if your group is 5 players,
not going to be for you. I don't know if you heard us mentioning it before.
2-player game.
2 players.
But yeah, like if your group is 2 players, that's a good start.
Yeah.
And if you usually enjoy Scott Almes designs, you might enjoy this.
Just like picturing 1 player sitting and watching this.
We always play 2-player games with 4 people because that's more fun. But yeah, like if you are looking for a new game, if you like the theme, like I enjoy many of the elements here. So if you, basically, who is this for? If you listen to this review, thought all the elements sounded amazing, give it a shot.
Yeah,
that's the short answer to it. So let's do the final thoughts on, is it fun? Let's go. Is it fun?
No. I don't think it's fun. It's just like, it doesn't excite me. I'm just like, okay, I will take this card and send it back to you. And sometimes it's very important to me, but most of the time it is fine. I will try to see, okay, I have a beer that is worth 9. Then I should probably get a
bread that's not worth 3.
3, yeah.
Or you could do that one first and then the other one later.
So I will try to balance. If I haven't made a bread, I will probably try to make a beer before I tuck like another ability in and score them if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like if I'm going to pick a 2-player game in this genre of or weight or length, I will not pick this because it just doesn't tick my buttons or flick my switches or what it's supposed to do. It's just not fun. Yeah, simple enough. I think this, like, it's not a bad game. It's an okay. It's nothing wrong with the game except that it's a little too long. I think it's like it's an average game, maybe a little.
You're asking yourself.
Yeah, 4.5. I'm going to give it.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a fine game. Like not in rating wise, it's not a 6, but it's a 5 for me. It's a completely average game. On the middle. It's not anything bad. It's just nothing that excites me.
Yeah.
Everything works like it should do. Everything flows like it should do. All of the elements sounded interesting, but putting them all together, it just was not fun. Like there was always in some games, I would find an element to be like, oh, now I can try to do this. That will always happen in every game. But here, most of the times we played it, I just wanted it to end, which is a horrible thing to say, but it's just like how it is. So for me, it was not very interesting. And if that makes you sad, then you might check out other reviewers who might like it more. Yeah. But for us, it was just nothing very interesting here. Move along, play another game instead. And that's the end of the video. If you are still here and you have not subscribed, you can do so now. Bye.
Click the subscribe button if you want more scripted videos like this one. That makes us happy like this, and it's also free and it's fun. And if you want to do something that's not free, you can.
Go to patreon.com/boardgamingramblings and support us there. And that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.